Okay, so let's talk about Jjokbal. You know, that amazing, savory Korean dish of braised pig's trotters? It's delicious. But what if I told you that its name is hiding a pretty wild story? A story about a linguistic mix-up and a deep historical misunderstanding. Let's get into it.
Right? You've had it, you love it. But the name itself, Jjokba, sounds almost exactly like another word from history, a word that's, well, a lot more complicated. So what's really going on here?
All right, let's start with the easy part, because at first glance, where the name Jokbal comes from seems almost kind of funny and super straightforward.
So the name Jokbal is what's known as a compound word. The first bit, Jok, is from a Chinese character that means foot. And the second part, bal, is the pure native Korean word for, you guessed it, foot.
Yep, you heard that right. The name of this dish we all love literally translates to foot. No, it's not some cool secret code, it's just foot, and then foot again, just said in two different ways.
Now, this might sound a little weird, but it's actually pretty common in Korean. A great example is the phrase for in front of the train station. People will say yokchen up. But yokchen already means in front of the station, and up also means front. It's like you're doubling down just to make it absolutely 100% clear. So foot is just emphasizing, hey, we're really talking about the feet here.
And honestly, that could be the end of it. A neat little piece of trivia, right? But this is where things get interesting, because there's this other word out there that sounds almost identical, but has nothing to do with food and everything to do with a really painful part of history.
So let's meet Jokbal's historical doppelganger, a word that to most of us sounds exactly the same, but tells a totally different story.
Okay, look closely here. On the left, you've got our dish, Jjokbal, and on the right, the historical term Jokbal. See that first character? The sound is just slightly punchier. It's a harder just sound. And that tiny little difference in sound, it represents a massive difference in meaning.
So unlike our foot, this word, Jokbal, is built differently. Jok means a piece or a side or something that's been split. So when you put it together, you get split foot, which just begs the question, where on earth did that come from?
Well, the answer actually takes us back in time, and it all has to do with, believe it or not, traditional clothing.
See, that name, split foot, wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It was a direct, visual description by Koreans of a very particular style of footwear that was common in Japan.
The whole thing started with Tabi. Those are the traditional Japanese socks that have a little slot for the big toe. And those socks were worn with sandals, like zori or geta, which created this very distinct split-toed or split-foot look.
So here's how a simple observation completely transformed. First, you just have the visual of the split foot from the Tabi socks. That led to the descriptive name, Jjokbal. But then a common Korean suffix, ugi, was added. And that turned it from a description of a thing into a term for a person, Jjokbari.
And this is where it gets pretty dark. The term became an insult because that split-foot look was then compared to the cloven hooves of animals, like pigs. It was a really effective way to dehumanize people, turning a piece of clothing into the basis for a slur.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Let's tie these two completely separate threads together and get our final answer.
Okay, the single most important thing to remember is this. Despite sounding almost identical, there is absolutely zero historical or linguistic connection between the delicious food Jjokbal and the offensive term Jjokbal. They're two totally separate words from two totally different worlds that just happen to sound alike.
Let's just look at it side by side one last time. You've got Jokbal, foot plus foot, a redundant name for a food. Then you have Jokbal, piece plus foot, a description of footwear that, over time, became a slur. Two different origins, two different stories. End of story.
And that's really it. One sound, but two completely separate histories. One leads you to a fantastic meal, and the other to a painful chapter of the past. It's just pure linguistic coincidence.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If a simple dish like Jokbal is hiding all this complexity, how many other words do we use every single day without having any idea about the wild, surprising, or even troubling stories they're carrying around? Something to chew on. Thanks for watching.